Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, entitled The Summon Bonon, Chapter 2, entitled Prayers by the Demigods for Lord Krishna in the Womb, text number 28. Twan ekavasya sataprasutis. No, sorry, I do it again. Twan eka evasya sataprasutis. Twan sanidhanan twan anugrasascha. Tvam mayaya samvrita cetasastvam. Pashyanti nana navapraschitoye. Tvam eka evasya sata prashutis. Tvam sannidhanan tvam anugrahascha. Tvam mayaya samvrita cetasastvam. Pashyanti nana navapaschitoye. Please chant. Ladies. Tvam, you, O Lord, Ekaha, being one with our second, you are everything. Eva, indeed, asya sataha, of this cosmic manifestation now visible. Prasutihi, the original source. Tvam, your lordship. Sannidhanam, the conservation of all such energy when everything is annihilated. Tvam, your lordship. Anugrahacha, and the maintainer. Twatmayaya, by your illusory energy. Sorry, I said it again. By your illusory external energy. Sambrita chetasaha, those whose intelligence is covered by such illusory energy. Tvam, unto you. Pashyanti, observe. Nana, many varieties. Na, not. Bapaschitaha, the learned scholars or devotees. Ye, who are. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. The efficient cause of this material world, manifested with its many varieties as the original tree, is you, O Lord. You are also the maintainer of this material world, and after annihilation, you are the one in whom everything is conserved. Those who are covered by your external energy cannot see you behind this manifestation, but theirs is not the vision of learned devotees. Purport. Various demigods, beginning from Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva, and even Vishnu, are supposed to be the creator, maintainer, and annihilator of this material world, but actually they're not. The fact is that everything is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, manifested in varieties of energy. Ekam evadvitviyam Brahma. There is no second existence. Those who are truly vipaschit, learned, are those who have reached the platform of understanding and observing the Supreme Personality of Godhead in any condition of life. Primanjana churito bhakti vilochanena shanta shadaiva hridaeshu vilokayanti. Brahma Samhita 5:38. Learned devotees accept even conditions of distress as representing the presence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. When a devotee is in distress, he sees that the Lord has appeared as distress just to relieve or purify the devotee from the contamination of the material world. While one is within this material world, one is in various conditions, and therefore a devotee sees a condition of distress as but another feature of the Lord. Tate nukampan sushumakshamanana. Bhagavatam 10:14-8. A devotee therefore regards distress as a great favor of the Lord because he understands that he is being cleansed of contamination. Te san aham samudharta mitu shamshara sagarat. Bhagavad Gita 12:7. The appearance of distress is a negative process intended to give the devotee relief from this material world, which is called Mrityu Shamshara, or the constant repetition of birth and death. To save a surrendered soul from repeated birth and death, the Lord purifies him of contamination by offering him a little distress. This cannot be understood by a non-devotee, but a devotee can see this because he is vipaschit, or learned. A non-devotee therefore is perturbed in distress, but a devotee welcomes distress as another feature of the Lord. Sarvam kaluidam brahma. A devotee can actually see that there is only the Supreme Personality of Godhead and no second entity, ekam evaditiyam. There is only the Lord who is present himself in different energies. Persons who are not in real knowledge think that Brahma is the creator, Vishnu is the maintainer, and Shiva the annihilator, and that the different demigods are intended to fulfill diverse purposes. Thus they create diverse purposes and worship various demigods to have these purposes fulfilled. Kamas taistar hitagyana papadyante nya devataha. A devotee, however, knows that these various demigods are but different parts of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and that these parts need not to be worshipped. As the Lord says in Bhagavad Gita 9:23, Jepyan anya devata bhakta yayante sradaja vitaha te pimam eva kaunteya yayanti adhi purvakam. Quote, whatever a man may sacrifice to other gods, O son of Kunti, is really meant for me alone, but it is offered without true understanding. End of quote. There is no need to worship the demigods, for this is avidhi, not in order. Simply by surrendering oneself at the lotus feet of Krishna, one can completely discharge one's duties. Therefore, there is no need to worship various deities or demigods. These various divinities are observed by the mudhas, fools, who are bewildered by the three modes of material nature. Tribhir, Gunamayir, Bhavair, Ebhi Sarvam Idam Jagat. Such fools cannot understand that the real source of everything is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Mohitam Nabijanati Mam Ebhya Param Abhyajam. Not being disturbed by the Lord's various features, one should concentrate upon and worship the Supreme Lord. Mam ekam sharanam braja. This should be the guiding principle of one's life. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Ummilitam Yena Tasmai Sri Guruve Namaha. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasaya Bhutale Shrimate Brahmapada Swami Namane. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin Iti Namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashatyade Shatarine. Vanchakalpa Tarubhyasha Kripa Sindhu Vyayevacha Patitanam Pavanevyo Vaishnavevyo Namo Namaha. Quite wonderful purport by Srila Prabhupada. Just taking this verse into, is almost like unfolding it into a very deep understanding. And very practical too, and very relevant for us who are aspiring to come to the position, or at least we speak, but many of us who are aspiring to come to the position of full understanding of the absolute truth. The other day I was watching this video. It was a film made by National Geographic of Tirupati. they were allowed. Usually, the managers of the Tirupati temple. Tirupati is almost like the Vatican of Vaishnavism. It's like a whole city, almost, in the top of the hills of Tirupati, and it's gigantic. And it is understood there is a wealthier temple, isn't it, in the world or something like that. And there is an average of about 70,000 people daily that come and take darshan there. And in peak times, some festival times, over 100,000 people daily. Daily. I mean, we have here on Sunday, 300 people, 200, 100. And in festival days, maybe 2,000. So you can imagine, it's a gigantic temple compound. And it's wonderful. And the main worshipable deity is Lord Venkateshwar, Srinivas, Govinda, Balaji. And these are different names. And it's a deity of Lord Vishnu. Very, very beautiful. It's an amazing place. And they allowed National Geographic to actually have quite an entrance, to show the darshan. Usually, you can even take pictures there. You can film, video, anything. They're very, very strict. But they allow National Geographic to make all this, and then they have entrance to the whole worship and bathing of the deities and everything. So it was pretty beautiful, the video itself. But in explaining the whole appearance of Lord Venkateshwar, they were explaining in the video or in the film, they were explaining the three main murtis of this material world. Lord Brahma, Lord Vishnu, and Lord Shiva. And it was explained by one of the high priests of Tirupati. And these are three Vaishnavas. And this was the representative in this official video to the world of Tirupati. And he was to explain to the uneducated world, especially to the West, because this is what National Geographic is bringing. What is this? These three gods that represents the creation, maintenance, and annihilation. And this priest explained that actually, in his own words, Vishnu is not a name. It's like an attribute. It represents, maintenance. So it's almost seeing the external work or that activity. It basically represents, it was almost like representing an activity and not necessarily a person. So I was just saying, wow. You see, almost appreciating so much what Prabhupada has given us and what Prabhupada has given to the world. In the verse itself here, it says that Samrit Sambrita Chetasa, those whose intelligence is covered by such illusory energies. I say the translation say, those who are covered by your external energy cannot see behind this manifestation. So we see in a cover stage, we just see this cosmic manifestation and all the different things that happens, meaning creation, maintenance, and annihilation. But theirs is not the vision of learned devotees. What's the vision of learned devotees? That there is an absolute truth. There's a cause of all causes. And this absolute truth is a supreme being. And that is what the demigods here are actually sort of praying to Krishna, acknowledging that. And in fact, this understanding is the essence of all knowledge. And it's established very powerfully in the Srimad Bhagavatam. We know the story that Srila Vyasadeva, after compiling the whole Vedic literature, dividing the Vedas, compiling the Upanishad, the Puranas, the Mahabharata, etc., he was not satisfied. He was not satisfied because the absolute truth was not perfectly established, clearly established, without no doubt, simply what the absolute truth is. Although it was there, it was not perfectly and irrevocably established. And so he was not satisfied. And Narada Muni, his spiritual master, revealed to him that he had to do that. He had to provide a literature which will give that, which simply will establish and explain in depth the absolute truth. And so Srila Vyasadeva, in the maturity of his realization, he compiled the Srimad Bhagavatam. And in the Srimad Bhagavatam, his first statement was to explain the absolute truth, Param Satya. And he explains, he meditates. His meditation is in that absolute truth. His worship, meditation is in the absolute truth. Param Satyam Dimahi. Therefore, I meditate upon that absolute truth. And what is that absolute truth? The first aphorism of the Vedanta Sutras is Jammadhyasya Yataha, that the absolute truth is the cause of all causes. By definition, the absolute truth is that truth that is not depending on anything else for their existence, but is the cause of all other truths. So there's only one absolute truth, and the rest is relative truth. So Prabhupada explained, if you go on in analyzing all the different things that are truths in this world, and if they have a cause, then you keep going until you find one that have no cause. So that is the absolute truth. So Srila Vyasadeva opened the Srimad Bhagavatam by defining that absolute truth. And it is understood by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu that by this open statement, we can understand that the Srimad Bhagavatam is Srila Vyasadeva explaining in depth the Vedanta Sutra. So, this first one is unpacking this first aphorisms, Jammadhyasya Yataha. What is the absolute truth, the cause of all causes? Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. That the absolute truth is Krishna, the son of Vasudeva. And that's why they're praying right now together. They're praying to Krishna, the son of Vasudeva, within the womb of Devaki. Jammadhyasya jatom bhajat itarasta chatarsu abhigyaswarat. That I offer my obeisances unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, the absolute truth, because He is the cause of all causes, He is the origin of this whole cosmic manifestation, and He is the cause of creation, maintenance, and annihilation. He is independent, and He is fully cognizant of everything. So, those who are devotees, pure-hearted devotees, can understand in full the absolute truth. And they can see that behind everything, there is the personality of Godhead. So, actually, they can understand perfectly this oneness. In general, philosophers that have not full understanding of the absolute truth, that are still, like in this verse is said, that are still covered by the external energy of the Lord, they understand this oneness as from that material perspective. So the understanding of oneness is that everything is the Lord, everything is that energy, but there's no differentiation. So there's no understanding of personality. They get stuck in this impersonal understanding. But those who are devotees, who are vipaschit, who are learned, they can understand that that the absolute truth is Veda Aveda, Achintya Veda Aveda Tattva. That the absolute truth is simultaneously one and different. That there is difference. There is a supreme being with qualities, personality, attributes behind everything. Srila Vyasadeva says that this can only be understood by devotees who are fully pure in heart. Nitmat saranam satam. Pure-hearted devotees. And the beautiful thing is when Prabhupada takes this understanding of, when one has this perfect understanding of the absolute truth, one can perfectly understand that everything comes from the Lord. So everything is a manifestation of the Lord. So they see Krishna in every aspect. Everything is behind. They don't see externally that they may be this circumstance of this personality or something like that. Krishna is behind. So although this world is being created by Lord Brahma, they can see that behind Lord Brahma is Krishna. Lord Brahma is simply executing Krishna's energy, Krishna's command. So those Nidmar Sadanam Satam devotees, they can see that. And what is the symptom of someone who is in that position? Srila Vyasadeva says, Vedyam vastavam atravashtu shivadam tapa trajomulanam. Tapa trajomulanam means that they become free from the three falls of material miseries. So unaffected by the miseries of this world. They perfectly situated. In the words of the Bhagavad Gita, they are the stita pragya, stita dhir munir uchyate. Stita dhir means whose minds are steady. They don't become disturbed by whatever miseries are there. Krishna explains, one who is not disturbed in mind, even amidst the threefold miseries, or elated when there is happiness. And here's the point. And who is free from raga, bhaja, and krodha. Raga means attachments, bhaja means fear, krodha means anger. They're called a sage of a steady mind, stita pragya, stita dhir. So, when we come to that position, then for sure we can always be undisturbed. So those are the devotees who actually, and Prabhupada is the examples that are being given in this past and that we're reading now is Vasudeva and Devaki. In the conditions that they are, and they able to maintain themselves perfectly stable. Because they see Krishna behind. And throughout the Bhagavatam, then we see the examples over and over and over of these types of devotees, Maharaj Ambarish, Prahlad Maharaj, etc., etc. How, in the midst of so many difficulties, always maintaining yourself perfectly situated. Your devotional service, your faith, your meditation is untouched by the circumstances. So, that is the symptom of someone who can able to see Krishna in that way. So in the midst of some calamity, then the devotee can see, oh, this is Krishna. And he feels secure and grateful. The example of Kunti Devi. She's actually grateful. And so grateful that her request to Krishna is, send me more miseries, send me more suffering or more difficulties. Because that space I found that is the best space for me to be. Because I'm always, have this sense of connection to you as my protector and my maintainer. So, from our perspective, is we are, to many of us, we have to follow that, cultivate that mood. And in fact, it's one of the things that as devotees, even, still in the process of becoming purified, one of the things, the features or the benefits or the symptoms that we actually embrace in Krishna consciousness is we start to deal with the difficulties that we have to face in this world in a complete different way. And it's wonderful. It's something that as devotees we do feel very grateful that actually we start to see the world in a different way. We start to deal with all these things in a different way. We may be still not, for many of us, we can see that we're not fully there. We're still overcome by attachments, by fears, and by anger at times. So these are symptoms that we're still affected by the material world, if they're there. Is behind. So the famous, this famous verse from the prayers of Lord Brahma, Tate Nukampam Shushumik Shamanana, that patiently we tolerate miseries that are there, understanding that Krishna is very kind and his hand is behind. So if we patiently wait for his mercy and continue doing the service and the worship, we continue the process of devotional service without deviation, with faith, then we're guaranteed that Krishna will free us and will take us back home, back to Godhead. We guaranteed to come to that position of pure-hearted devotees. So we can understand, in one sense, that, just like Prabhupada said in the purport actually, that Krishna is behind and he is placing all these circumstances simply to purify us, simply to bring to our attention what are our weaknesses, so we can actually work in a much more concentrated manner. So it's a wonderful approach of life. It's something that non-devotees don't have. And it's something that gives to the devotees hope. So we always have hope. Not only philosophical understanding, but that's the experience that we can get, in Krishna consciousness. That Krishna is Sruhidan Sarvabhutanam. He's our best friend. He's kind. So we can always go to that. That's always a shelter. Even if we deviate out of some confusion by attachments or fears or things like that, at one point we always find that shelter, because that shelter is being given to us. And that's what Krishna is doing. All these circumstances is simply to bring us to the position of we understand he is my only shelter. We want to come to, in our devotional service, to do like Draupadi, when she finally understood at one point that on her strength she cannot protect herself, so she raised her hands and says, Govinda. And at that point Krishna came and saved her. So, so everything is leading us to that position, the position of Sarvadharman Paritya, Mam Ekam Sharanam Braja, of full, exclusive surrender to Krishna. And in that position, we'll be perfectly situated in the understanding of the absolute truth. Right now, we do understand what the absolute truth is, but it's not fully realized because many of us were still affected by the material, external energy of the Lord. So, we're still confused. Any comments or questions? Mata, you would like to contribute? Bring the microphone, please. There's a microphone coming.
Anyway, I was just thinking, recently I just turned 70 years old, and you know, before 60, it's still sort of, you're still in the workforce or whatever. 70, you start to be really old. So now I was thinking how my life as a devotee, I joined those in the early 70s, how it went and how this whole, it's a process, this devotional service, and how much service I was able to do in the early days, but then the realization was not very deep, really, but the service helped the, you know, the purification process. So we should never despair and think it's so hard, and it is a process. You have to be patient. And this patience I learned, and tolerance through the years, and that helped me to now really appreciate old age. And naturally, these material desires, they diminish more and more, and you have done this. And, you know, it's really wonderful, really. And I feel very happy in my old age. I think this is a good thing to become old. I mean, I'm lucky also I have a good health, but still, I feel it's the best time of my life. Because also I had 7 kids, you know, and I did a lot of service, and now all these things, like this one verse in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Kamadinam Katita Katita Palita Doni Deshas. All my life I have served my senses, you know, more or less, because you have 7 kids, you have to bring them through, and you have to bring them to school, and then sometimes you're watching all these nonsense videos, and you know, it's still, and so now everybody is gone. Gone. They're still around, but they're their own have their own life. So for me now, it's like I'm in my bubble of Krishna consciousness, just thinking about Srila Prabhupada. I'm really happy now. Now I'm really happy. Before it was, you know, that was something, but through the years, I understand you have to be very tolerant, and what's very important is that you follow the process, that you get up early, cleanliness, get up. Actually, Srila Prabhupada, at the end of his earthly manifestation here, he was saying, and when you at the end, you sort of see the summum bonum of everything you did during your life, and he was telling us that at least come to the mode of goodness. You know, if nothing else, at least you have to elevate yourself to the mode of goodness before you come to Shuddha Sattva. You have to at least, and this is only done by doing the process, getting up early, coming to Mangal Arti, being very clean. All these things are very, very important. I can see it because I've seen so many things, and I still see so many things. And these things are neglected many times, and the upbringing is sort of, and especially these technology has really done a lot of damage, and it's still doing a lot of damage, and it's continued to do a lot of damage. And all our kids, I see these little kids, even my own kids, just all the time on their phone, and it's so distracting. I'm glad I didn't actually was raised. We didn't have any cell phones when I grew up. So that's really an advantage, because now it's more and more difficult. I just see so much stress and so much difficulties. It's just so difficult now. So if you don't take shelter of this program we have, and of Srila Prabhupada's teachings, and you always hear and remember, then you're lost. Isn't it? Isn't it?
No doubt about it.
And also there's this verse where Prahlad Maharaj, he prays to Nrsimhadev, Balasya Neha Saranam Pitaro Nishinga. Nobody can actually give you protection, only Krishna can give you protection. No parents actually can protect their children. It's all, I mean, they have their own karma, everything, but only taking shelter of Krishna is the only way, it's the only way, it's the only way.
Thank you so much, Mati.
Rambling along.
It's wonderful to have you. It's wonderful to have so many years of service, and wonderful to Srila Prabhupada. I'm glad to have you here. That you gave us also Rasa Mataji. How long you staying here in Chicago? Nice. Anyone else? Yes, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. It's an interesting point about distress. Distress being like the mercy of Krishna to purify us. I think this is, yeah, like you were saying in the very beginning, it's extremely relevant. I think everybody goes through it. And, it seems like the kind of spirituality at an immature level is like avoiding distress, and like it's like pseudo spirituality is like you just do whatever you want and just like find yourself and do what makes you happy and things like that. So wondering if you have any advice. It's like important to guard against that like whimsical attitude. On the other hand, you can't completely neglect your own well-being at the same time. It's like, if you're not ready for that, like, if you're not like a completely pure devotee, you can just like wreck yourself and end up leaving Krishna consciousness if you don't take care of yourself to some degree. So I'm wondering if you have any thoughts about that.
Yeah, I think for us, conditioned souls, and who have come to the process of devotional service by the grace of the devotees, the prescription is always being center. Don't go this way, don't go that way. It's always, a balanced approach of both matter and spirit. And we always struggle to keep that balance of matter and spirit. We can't neglect either. We have to take them simultaneously. And we have the tendency that, matter is having problems, then let me go and take care of matter. And then spiritual gets, compromised. So we constantly, one of the symptoms that we have when we're conditioned is that we have to constantly strive for that position of balance. And that's my realization, what I found, in that, is a constant struggle. Like right now, my health is not good. So it's affecting my, sadhana in one sense. It's not, the quality is not the same. It's, I have to do a lot of things for my body right now. So there is no balance, and I'm feeling it. So you're struggling to go back to balance, So the balance is, when we come to the position of Krishna consciousness, it's very natural, this position of balance. And that's what we're striving for. So for that position of balance, you have to really have this understanding of, this realized understanding of Krishna's hand, and how this is actually an important feature of taking shelter of Krishna. If it goes out of balance, it means that we're taking shelter of something else. If we're taking shelter of Krishna, it's balance. So that's why being introspective, we can see, I'm out of balance. What is the shelter that I'm taking that is not Krishna? And you try to understand, it's because this attachment, because this fear, that type of thing, that I'm taking, I'm looking for other shelters. Does that make sense?
Kind of, I guess, sometimes it seems like maybe it's an immature understanding of taking shelter of Krishna that puts you out of balance. Like if you try to be more advanced than you are, something like that.
Yes. The thing is, this is from my understanding, personal understanding. I mean, there's much more down, much more to go through to understand. But it's to find that position of balance, like, and that's what we're striving for. That yours, regardless of the situation, that balance is not disturbed. Like sometimes we find ourselves in that balance and we feel ourselves really, we're good. We're in a zone, in spiritual, Like I'm taking care of, my material things, I'm taking care of my spiritual things. And they're, I feel it. And then sometimes it goes out of balance. And that's not good. Either, if you start to neglect, for example, I go into a full Haribol thing and then, I start to neglect my body, my health, and things like that, and then it goes into a whack too. And maybe I don't take care of my health, I just chant Hare Krishna, and then it goes worse. So you can't neglect either or the other one. You see in advanced devotees that they do take care of both nicely, very balanced, and nothing gets compromised. So, anything else? Yes, Karen.
I was thinking that Prabhupada gave a nice example regarding how Krishna is present everywhere. He was discussing with his devotees in the morning walk, like how if Krishna is not there, like for example, this if living entity, soul is not there, then it's dead, cannot float in the water even. So similarly, these planets and everything, how they are floating in the space, because super soul is there, Krishna is there. So in that means andantarastha paramanu chayantarastham. Like that means every atoms in particles, Krishna is there. So if it is not there, then how can this thing float everything? That's what very nice example he gave.
Thank you, Prabhu.
And
all right. Okay. Thank you so much. Grantara Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai.